I had never even heard of Kicking Bear, and then a friend of mine at work knew I was a single mom and, knew I had a son at home and kind of said, hey, your son interested in hunting or anything with bows? And I was like, yeah, he really is. I don't know anything about that stuff, but for some reason that's all he kind of talks about. And he he said, we have this camp that I'm involved with and it's called Kicking Bear, and told me where it was and when it was, and he said, it's free, anybody's welcome. You don't have to register, you can just show up and kind of have fun, let your kids learn about the outdoors, and just really it's all about the kids and having fun and learning about hunting and safety and having fun.
I was in school, I would always have to listen to all my friends every fall say, oh yeah, I got to go out and shoot a deer this big. And I didn't have anybody to go hunting with. I didn't have anybody to really do stuff with.
Well, when we first showed up, there's people all around. There was people setting up tents, and I was pretty sure I was in the right spot, but I pulled up and, a guy came up and said, are you here for the Kicking Bear camp? And I said, yeah, it's our first one. We've never done this. And right away, one of the guys is like, do you need any help with anything? I see you're alone with your kids. Do you need help setting up a tent? And we register them, and they all get to pick out a t-shirt and a cap. And right away, there's 5 or 6 games going on that the kids can join in on. There's kickball, they're throwing hatchets and, shooting bows and just having a ton of fun. And there's so many nice guys there that are just jumping in and playing with the kids. And, they treated them like people and not just, someone that, they had to be there with. And it was really neat to see my kids interact with different people, lots of different grown-ups, and everyone was just so willing to make it like special for them.
My mom made me go out there and play kickball, and it was probably the funnest thing I've ever done. With all the games like the dunk tank, and they have the big slip and slide. It was fun. Late at night we have a bonfire and go and have a ton of marshmallows and just whip them at each other, and it's just so fun. I didn't really want to go to bed even though I was super tired, but my mom made me go to bed, so when I went to bed, I couldn't wake up. I couldn't wait to wake up the next morning and go out and shoot bow for the first time. I woke up Saturday morning and had breakfast, and then we had the safety meeting. We went out and we got to go to all the 3D targets. It was really fun. It was the first time I ever got to do something like that. A polar bear is my favorite target to shoot at. My sister won a razor edge diamond. She wasn't strong enough to pull it back, so she gave it to me. And Greg Simons helped me tune it up for me, and that's when I started shooting. My mom got offered to take me to a hunter safety course offered by Kicking Bear for free. So my mom said yeah, and I was excited, so we went, and I'm like, this will be the first chance I'll be able to go hunting. Greg is a guy that used to work with my mom, and he introduced us to Kicking Bear. So he said that I could come to the firing range with him, so we brought up the gun and we started shooting, and I wasn't really hitting the target, so we adjusted the scope, and I was hitting the target pretty well. So then he offered to take me to Potter's Swamp for deer hunting, and this buck came walking in from behind us, and then I turned over and I'm like, is that a deer over there? Is that a deer over there? And he's like, oh no, because he couldn't see it. So it walked down into the clearing, and he's like, oh, it's at least a 6-pointer. So it got about 40 yards away, and I took aim and shot it, and it ran about 60 feet into the woods and dropped. So when we got up there and I figured out that it was dead, I'm like, sweet, I got my first deer, or a second deer.
Well, the first time Tristan got to go deer hunting, I was a little nervous. I thought, besides, shooting a couple times, he's never done this. And, I didn't hear from him during the weekend, and finally it was time to go pick him up after deer camp. And, I see him in the driveway and he's like, Mom, you'll never guess what happened. And I said, what? He's like, I got a doe. And I was just like, what a blessing, to be successful at this camp for him. That was all he ever dreamed of, was getting a deer. And then he says, Mom, you'll never guess what else. I got a buck too. And I was almost in tears. It was just so amazing to see my son's dream of going hunting come true, and then to be successful at it, and to have his mentor standing with him, just saying what a great job he did, how much fun he had, and what a blessing it was for him to go. It's really amazing.
And my best memory that I have of kicking bear is going to Colorado elk hunting, and that was probably the funnest thing I've ever done. I've never seen 40 elk just sitting there staring at you. I was really nervous. I didn't want to shoot the wrong one or make a bad shot and hit two of them. And so my mentor just sat there and he's like, okay, you got to aim here. And just being able to shoot one was so cool. It was so fun. The adrenaline was fun.
For Tristan, knowing that he's got a special mentor in his life is something that I could never give him. I was never, a boy growing up without a dad living with them. And with Tristan going on these hunts, I didn't even know where to start with what kind of clothes he needed. And they said, if you can't afford it, we have things, we can borrow things, we'll get it. We just want him to go. And it was so amazing that people would open up their hearts and just say, it doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have. We want to be there for you and for your son, and just give him this opportunity. And when these kicking bear camps started coming up and they said, don't worry about the cost, there is no cost. It's amazing to a single mom to be able to do these things with their kids that some people might take for granted, but my kids really don't. They know how special this really is.
It's been a lot better since we went to kicking bear. I actually get to go outside and shoot bow whenever I want to. And now I get to wake up every fall and say, yes, I get to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go shoot a deer. I can't thank Kicking Bear enough for the opportunities that they've given Tristan that I'm not able to give him on my own. And to see him be so successful at it is truly a blessing. Without Greg, I don't know if I would have been able to do any of this.